Everyone is celebrating the Golden State Valkyries for doing the impossible, an expansion team that didn't just survive year one, but roared into the playoffs while selling out their brand new home court and turning Ballhalla into the loudest room in women's basketball. The feel-good headline writes itself: big crowds, a new market on fire, and a postseason debut that looks like a coronation. That's the expectation. But the reality? When it was time to host their first-ever home playoff game, the Valkyries were told to pack their bags and drive 45 miles south because their sold-out arena was booked for tennis. You heard that right. A global tournament rolled in with days of setup and practice, and a history-making WNBA team got bumped from its own stage. And the loudest voice calling it what it is, disrespect, isn't a talking head. It's Breanna Stewart, a two-time MVP and a union vice president who flat out said, "You don't see this happening with the NBA." Today, we're unpacking what really happened, why it keeps happening in the WNBA, and how the money, contracts, and league policies made this mess inevitable. We'll trace the pattern, follow the incentives, and show you why this one relocation could force a change in how the WNBA does business, if the league and its owners are brave enough to fix it. Let's start with the part everyone wants to downplay. This isn't a freak accident. If you've followed the WNBA long enough, you know playoff displacement is a recurring headline. The Mystics had to play huge games in college arenas. The Sparks got moved for a red carpet awards event. The Mercury have been shuffled by concerts and ice shows. In every case, the immediate spin is scheduling conflict, as if the universe just flipped a coin and the women drew the short straw. But look closer, and you see something more deliberate. Arenas prioritize contracts that were locked in months or years earlier with guaranteed revenue, huge sweet commitments, and multi-day load-in windows that swallow entire weeks of availability. Playoff windows, which the league releases on a tighter cadence than the NBA, end up as moving targets. When a venue operator, often the same ownership group that runs the team, faces a conflict between a global event with a clean buyout and a playoff game that could be announced with relatively short notice, the venue picks certainty. That's not bad luck. That's a business system that has built-in incentives to treat a WNBA playoff date as something optional. And when it's a repeat pattern across multiple franchises and multiple seasons, fans stop believing the nothing we could do explanation. They see a league that talks growth, but still hasn't negotiated the guardrails that protect its biggest moments. Now, here's where the story stops being a generic scheduling gripe and becomes a smoking gun for culture and power. Breanna Stewart didn't just vent, she drew a line. When an active superstar, a champion, and a WNBA vice president says this wouldn't happen to the NBA, she's not making a theoretical point. She's pointing to a governance difference. The NBA's postseason calendar is sacred, locked early, and guarded by ironclad venue holds. The kind of tennis setup that needs multiple dark days, it gets scheduled around the NBA, not over it. In the WNBA, the holds are looser, the postseason format recently shifted, and the season just expanded to a record slate, great for product, brutal for venue certainty if you don't also tighten the holds. Stewart's words make clear what's at stake. Respect is not about applause, it's about priority. If the WNBA is going to ask players to push year-round in a longer regular season, endure travel and media pressure, and then shine brightest in the playoffs, the league and its partners need to guarantee a basic promise. When you earn a home game, you get a home game in your home. Not a substitute court, not a city over, not a building that has never heard your intro music. When the player voice says the quiet part out loud, it forces owners and the league office to answer a simple question. Do we run our postseason like a major league or like a rental client? The easy defense for what happened in San Francisco is the timeline. The Labor Cup bid was in motion years before the Valkyries even existed. Big events like that don't materialize overnight. That's true, and it actually strengthens the real critique. If the arena knew the load-in window would black out a crucial week, then the WNBA and the franchise needed a written plan A, B, and C months ago, not a scramble once the playoff berth was clinched. That's the part fans and players can't accept. The most successful expansion launch in league history, record crowds, a viral brand, a rookie head coach killing it, and the playoff plan is we'll figure it out if we get there? That's not disrespect from random internet trolls. That's structural disrespect baked into planning. And let's talk about those setup days. The event itself might run over a weekend, but the practical blackout can wipe 3 to 5 days before the first serve. That's when practice courts go down, signage wraps the building, hospitality spaces get reconfigured, broadcast trucks carve up loading docks, and the arena turns into a bespoke tournament venue. For a WNBA franchise, that means the exact 48-hour window where you should be locking in tickets, coordinating team routines, and cashing in on the fan energy gone. No shoot-around in your own gym. No normal commute. No Ballhalla decibel advantage you built brick by brick all summer. From the outside, it looks like a small hop down the freeway. From the inside, it's the difference between playing a playoff game at home and playing one at a neutral site that just happens to be within driving distance. And while we're on the inside, look at who gets punished by this the most. The fans who did everything right. They showed up for 20-plus home dates, they set attendance records, they made the building feel like a fortress, and they did it at expansion team prices that could have been a disaster if demand hadn't exploded. Those are the people now being told, "Congrats, you earned a playoff game. See you in another city." If you're building a product with lifetime value and not just single game gate receipts, that trade-off is devastating. You've taught your most loyal customers that even when they buy in completely, the most special moments are negotiable. That's not how dynasties are built. That's how you flatten momentum. And momentum is everything with a new franchise. Year one is the year you teach habits. Where fans pregame, how they move through the concourse, the rituals they pass to their kids, that will always remember where we were, memories that glue a community to a team. A dislocated playoff game isn't just an inconvenience. It's a cut into the mythology you were writing. Great organizations sweat those details because they know it shows up later as renewals, referrals, and a waitlist that prints money in year 5. Let's zoom out to the league level. The WNBA just extended its regular season to a record number of games, a necessary step to meet demand and fill the summer sports window. More games means more dates to protect. More dates to protect means your venue hold strategy has to evolve. Earlier reservation deadlines, more aggressive blackout windows, and penalty clauses that make it genuinely costly to bump a playoff date. The NBA figured this out long ago because their partners knew the playoffs are a made-for-television juggernaut. The WNBA is entering that phase, ratings are up, the rookie class is drawing crossover audiences, and expansion is working in real time. That's precisely why the old venue habits can't survive. If the league is going to scale, it cannot keep bleeding credibility at the exact moment cameras and casuals tune in. The fix isn't glamorous, but it's straightforward. Formalize and enforce protected postseason holds across all WNBA venues with minimum lead times. Require each team to file a secondary home that meets broadcast standards in the same metro for emergencies, and hard-code relocation triggers that prioritize the least disruptive solution. Don't wait to see if a Cinderella story happens. Write the policy for when it does. What about the ownership side? In the Bay, Joe Lacob is not a small ball owner. He loves a project that flexes. He paid the expansion fee. He staffed like a contender. He branded the building like a theme park and dared people to laugh at the word Ballhalla until it became a phenomenon. That's precisely why this moment stings. The optics turn a year of flawless growth into a national story about second-class treatment. The truth is more nuanced. The tennis deal predates the team, but optics are their own reality in sports. If you want the WNBA franchise to inherit the Warriors standard, then let fans see that standard in logistical choices, not just in hype videos. A public never again commitment paired with concrete steps, longer postseason holds, a standing agreement with a true backup venue inside San Francisco, transparent timelines, would turn a PR loss into a leadership moment. Other owners would follow, because no one wants to be the next headline. If the league office is smart, they'll codify whatever Lacob does as a best practice and roll it league-wide. Let's talk basketball, because this isn't just corporate theater. The WNBA returned to a first-round format that splits home court 1-1-1. For a lower seed like the Valkyries, that often means your one guaranteed home date is Game 2, the swing game where you either seize momentum or watch it die. That game is supposed to be played with your sound system, your banners, your sight lines, your routine. Shifting it to a different building matters. Players will say the right things. They'll promise to bring the energy anywhere, and they mean it. But the whole point of earning home court is to weaponize familiarity. When you strip that away, you've tilted the series in a way that has nothing to do with talent. And no, this isn't about blaming a loss in advance. It's about recognizing that environments win in the margins. The first playoff run of a new franchise is nothing but margins. One possession flipped by noise, one referee decision colored by pressure, one role player who shoots like a star at home. You can't quantify everything the building gives you, but teams obsess over it for a reason. If the WNBA is going to be ruthless about competitive integrity, it can't be casual about this. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. The money that forced this relocation is real and it's big. Global tennis isn't just prize money and highlight reels. It's hospitality gloss, multi-day suite packages, VIP experiences that rewire an arena's guts, and international media crews who need guaranteed space and time. From a venue operations perspective, that's hard to beat. That's exactly why a mature league takes the choice away. You don't want your owners calculating whether it's smarter to eat a PR hit in women's basketball to protect a multi-million-dollar event. You want those calculus problems sealed off by contracts they signed months earlier. That's what the NBA does. That's how the NHL treats playoff ice. That's how European soccer protects domestic cups. The WNBA should copy the boring parts of those systems immediately. If you're selling a story of respect, the policy should prove it before a single storyline hits the timeline. And yes, there's also a human side beyond fans and players, the staff who built this. Ticket reps who begged friends to come to opening night. Social teams who turned a fledgling brand into a culture artifact. Ops crews who learned a new building routine on the fly. These are the people who take it personally because they know how fragile year one can be. A forced relocation tells them their best wasn't enough to beat a spreadsheet. The fix is the same. Protect them with policy so their work culminates where it's supposed to. On their floor, under their lights, with their city exploding around them. That's how you retain the best people and keep a meteoric rise from flattening in year two. So where does this leave the Valkyries? Ironically, with a gift. It's the purest bulletin board insult you can give a new team. You did everything right and still got treated like the show that can be moved. That rage, properly channeled, turns into road warrior swagger in a borrowed building that your fans will try to claim by sheer will. It's not fair, but it's fuel. Use it to win, force a game 3. And if you punch through, you likely clear the calendar into the semis back at Ballhalla. Meanwhile, let your owner make the phone calls, let the league office absorb the heat, and let the union sharpen the asks for the next CBA and the postseason hold policy that should have existed yesterday. The players did their job. The market proved itself. The policies need to catch up. We started with expectation versus reality. The expectation was that a record-setting expansion story culminates with a home playoff party in the building that made this team famous. The reality is a relocation that exposed a lingering soft spot in how the WNBA protects its biggest moments. But the deeper reality, the one that gives the story its bite, is that a superstar with institutional clout called it disrespect out loud, and she's right. That word changes things. It forces owners, arenas, and the league office to stop hiding behind calendar screenshots and admit what fans already know. Respect is a scheduling decision. The Valkyries may still write the ending they deserve on the court. Off the court, the league has to write a new rule book so this never happens again. And if you want to see how player power and front office politics collide to create these flashpoints, the next video in our locker room confidential playlist breaks down the last time a superstar forced a league to rewrite its rules. This story isn't over, it's just the opening serve.